Olá, here Pedro Jorge Pereira, PGP, from the Slow Motion Tools project, and I'm doing this video to share with you some reflections or some aspects about the ancient Celtic culture. The ancient Celtic culture that existed in the period before the so-called Romanization of the territory that nowadays we call Portugal. And the first aspect that I would like to mention is somehow how hard, or in a certain way we can say that it tends to be more difficult to reveal some aspects about the Celtic culture in the way that it was much more something like an oral culture with an oral language. So therefore we don't have that many, let's say, written records of this civilization. We do have many interesting archaeological findings, especially several that were found in places like this one where I'm standing. So I'm standing in Castro de S.Lourenço, situated in Vila Chã, part of the city of Esposende. Obviously, this was not the ancient name of this place. S.Lourenço, it's a Christian name. So it's a name that it was given already after the Christianization of these territories. So when the Romans arrived and the Roman Empire expanded and somehow swallowed these territories and these cultures, many of this ancient culture disappeared, and especially with the process of Christianization. With the process of the Christianization, there was a program, if you can say so, to, in a certain way or in many ways, to erase the ancient pagan cults. So therefore, also many of these many aspects of these ancient cultures. Still, there are some aspects that still are part of our culture and our identity. And so it's very interesting to visit these places and to identify how much the Celtic culture is still, in a more subtle or not way, present in what's the Portuguese culture nowadays. There are some, the name of some places, they still have some origins from the Celtic culture. One interesting aspect that I personally find very interesting is related with the architecture of the houses. While in the Roman houses normally they have a shape that you can say it's more like in a square. Normally the houses of the Celtic tribes, of the Celtic people, they are like circled, which in a certain way it's a shape that it's much more common in nature. So in a certain way you can say that these cultures lived closer from nature. Also, normally, as far as we know, the gods and goddesses that were like uh, raised by the Celtic tribes, the Celtic people, they were deeply connected with nature somehow. So that's my reflection or my invitation of today. So visit these places and get to know more about the Celtic culture, and also connect or reconnect yourself with the nature and the cycles of nature as the Celtic did. One important aspect that it's quite relevant to mention is also that although there were many common aspects of the Celtic culture, it's also important to say that there were different tribes, and each tribe, they normally dominated a certain area of the territory, and quite oftenly there were of course also differences between them. So in a certain way we have to be careful when we mention like the Celtic culture, or at least it's important to say that there were almost like different cultures inside the Celtic culture, and the Romanization of the territory somehow brought that aspect of creating a common identity, if you can say so. So I hope you enjoy these reflections. This is my invitation or my suggestion. Visit these so-called castros. So castros refer to these settlements, these villages, Celtic villages, that usually they were standing in the top of the hills for defensive purposes. As I said before, like the different tribes, they're a different culture, and sometimes or quite often they were fighting between themselves. And I also would like to invite you to join our next session of the Academy of Portuguese Social-Cultural Studies. It will take place on the next on the Friday, so the 20th of February of 2026 in CUP 99 in Porto, and the subject of this session will be precisely the influence of the different cultures, of the different civilizations that existed in this territory, and the influence they have in what's nowadays the Portuguese culture. So in a way, we can say that the Portuguese culture, or the call, or this idea that there's somehow the almost like a Portuguese race, is very artificial, since the Portuguese identity and culture is actually a mixture of so many different cultures and influences. But if you want to know more, so join us in this session. I believe it will be very interesting and very stimulating, as all the others before were. And that's it. Thank you for watching the video. If you know someone that might be interested, or that might find this information interesting, so please share it, and let's um, contribute so that this information can reach more people. So looking forward to see you eventually on the next session of the Academy of the Portuguese Social-Cultural Studies. And that's it for now. So abraços, até breve.